Thank you for joining. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. My name is Emery Wager. I'm one of the founders of Gravity Legal. We help entrepreneurial law firms reduce the cost and automate the process of accepting and managing client payments, whether those payments be for earned monies on invoices or for flat fee work, or unearned funds due for an AOLTA or a trust account. And I'm here with my friend Rohit from Matter365. For those of you who don't know, Matter365 is an amazing cloud-based system that leverages a lot of the best-in-class Microsoft tools and brings those together in a way that makes it really easy to manage a law firm. Basically takes those tools and combines them, and we like to say legalizes them to make it easy to manage your firm. So that's my intro from Rohit, or of Rohit, but anything else you want to add before we kick it off?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great description. What we do essentially is we create a matter-centric organization to your Microsoft Office environment, which makes it really easy to keep, everything in its place, because we create a place for everything. So people have described our product as if Microsoft Office was designed for lawyers or law firms. So you can check us out at matter365.com in case you're interested.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, so what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about the Matter365 Gravity Legal QuickBooks integration. So it's a little bit of a kind of a three-way integration that helps law firms automate the process of requesting and accepting payments from clients, again, whether they be for earned money or for unearned funds. So if you have questions, feel free to just throw them in the chat. I'll also have a few links that I'll be putting out there in the chat as we go, but there'll be some time at the end, but also if you want to interrupt us, please do go ahead. So the first thing I'm going to be talking about is the interaction between Gravity Legal and QuickBooks, and talk about how that works. And Rohit's going to kind of interject and talk also about how that sort of interacts with Matter365. And then at the end, we'll talk about how to send a trust deposit request directly from Matter365 and have that go out to the client, have the client pay, and have that automatically updated in both QuickBooks and Matter365. So with that, I will share my screen and we'll get started. All right, so this is the QuickBooks chart of accounts that we may or may not be familiar with, but the Gravity Legal QuickBooks integration really has three different parts. So the first part is syncing all your clients with Gravity Legal. So if I go into my Gravity Legal account, I can see that the majority of these clients were synced directly. They were created. This logo is the QuickBooks logo. They were created directly from a sync with QuickBooks. However, I do have a few that were created from trust requests originally in Matter365, but they still have they're still associated with a QuickBooks customer. So syncing is kind of step one. The second step is account mapping. So if I go into my integration settings here, integration settings with QuickBooks, click View Edit. I can choose what accounts I want my payments made in Gravity Legal to go into. So, and you can do that for each bank account that you have linked in, that you have set up in Gravity Legal. So for my default operating account, I've chosen to log all payments in undeposited funds. And actually all operating payments will show up as what QuickBooks calls a payment. And then all trust deposits will show up in QuickBooks as an actual deposit. So when you're logging a deposit in QuickBooks, you actually need a bank account plus a QuickBooks account. So we have our, I've called this the trust header, which is kind of a general catch-all trust account. on the chart of accounts in QuickBooks, and then I have a bank account set up that is a trust account. So,
and if I could just interject for a second
Mhm.
there, Emery, when you, for the Matter365 subscribers or users who have already integrated into QuickBooks, you're going to want to choose then obviously the same operating account and trust account, trust liability account when you're doing the integration with Gravity Legal, to make sure that all the payments that are coming through your trust requests are actually going into the same sort of map to the same chart of accounts that Matter365 is dealing with as well.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And the great thing, so if you just have the QuickBooks Gravity Legal integration set up, you can only select one account. So you're kind of dumping, I mean, all the payments, all the deposits are going into the same trust header. And later you have to go sort by client and see, what is my balance per client, so I can do that three-way trust account reconciliation. But if you have Matter365, it kind of turbocharges that, because every time you send a trust request, it not only is associated with that client, but it goes into a sub liability account associated with that client. So you can really easily perform that reconciliation. So any trust requests, even if you have this set up, any trust request sent through Matter365 will take precedence, and so it will go into that specific sub-liability account there. So this is really only for taking payments outside of Matter365 or outside of a QuickBooks invoice. So we'll go ahead and do a sample payment. So here I'm going to create just a manual payment link. So let's say client shows up at my door and they want an LLC formed, and I'm going to charge them $1,000 to do that. A flat fee, so it's going to go into my operating account. And I'm going to create that. We'll do it for Boston Dynamics. And now I have this payment link that I can send directly to the client. And then when the client receives that, they can pay by debit, credit, or by bank transfer. You can optionally charge that credit card fee to the client too, kind of pushing them to less expensive, free to them payment methods like ACH. And I'll just make a quick payment on here so we can see what the life cycle looks like. I'll pull down a routing number here for my demo, routing numbers. I can also set this up so the client can authorize me to keep this payment method on file. This is one of the best ways to speed up the time it takes to get paid, is just to have a payment method on file. So you can just charge that card or charge that bank account after the client's approved the invoice. So I've just processed that payment by bank transfer. So now, remember I had in my settings, integrations, I had the trust headers, or sorry, the undeposited funds, since that was an operating account payment. So if I go to my chart of accounts, I'll search for undeposited funds. I'm going to view the register. And now you can see that this $1,000 payment just showed up in that account. So it makes it really easy if you're processing kind of one-off payments to tie those to QuickBooks clients. And same if this was a trust account, it would have shown up as a deposit in the QuickBooks account and in the bank account.
And it can't, we can't emphasize this enough, that with this QuickBooks Gravity integration on its own, leaving aside Matter365, it doesn't require you to log into your online payment system, record the payment, and then cross-reference that to QuickBooks, and then find the deposit, and then make another entry in your QuickBooks. All of this is being done automatically. You just create the link, you send it off, they pay it. The record's already created in QuickBooks. You'll go back into Gravity Legal, we can see a record of it created there as well. So in case there is any need to match the payments, the record's already being created. So this really takes all the hard work and the heavy lifting off that sort of bookkeeping requirement that you have to go in and enter all the payments manually every time somebody makes a payment. By looking at what was deposited in your bank account or what came through credit card processing, and then enter that information into QuickBooks. You don't have to do that anymore.
Yep.
And, you know, as I say to everybody on our demos, lawyers are great at a lot of things. Bookkeeping is not one of them. So anything that removes the need to actually learn how to do bookkeeping is a great thing.
Yeah, automating the things, the tasks that that you don't want to be spending time on is a huge focus of ours, and Matter365 as well. So the three parts: syncing clients, recording payments like we just did, and then the last part is you can automatically have, if we go back to our settings, you can have payment links automatically applied to QuickBooks invoices when they are created. So if you go to Matter365 and you create a new invoice, I won't go through the whole process, but you can create one right in Matter365.
I clicked on the expense button.
Oop. and now Zoom is in the way. No. Move out of the way, Zoom. Okay. Now I'll move it back and do it right. Invoice. So now I can create an invoice directly in my Matter in Matter365, and then I can sync that with QuickBooks. And basically what it will do is send that invoice to QuickBooks. And then if you have the Gravity Legal integration set up so that it drops invoices or payment links on the invoice, when you get the invoice, it will, we'll go to invoices here. The invoice, show it, we'll edit it so we can see. But basically, that payment link is then added with your custom message to the invoice message. And then depending on how you have your QuickBooks settings set up, you can also print that to the email that that's going to go out to the client. So here's my invoice with the details, and then they can click and pay that there. So,
in the invoice creation from the Matter365 side, again, you don't have to do anything. You set up once in Gravity Legal that to add the payment link to your QuickBooks invoices, and then you prepare your invoices as you normally would in Matter365. And then when you click on Sync to QuickBooks, it's automatically going to insert that payment link onto the invoice. And as Emery said, you can have that payment link added to the email that gets sent out when you send out the invoices as well.
Yep.
And I think, yeah, that has to be done in QuickBooks, but once it's done, you set it up once and then you never have to worry about it.
Yep. And actually on this particular link, I have it set up to inform the client that they'll be paying for the credit card fee if they do want to get the airline miles. If they want to use a debit card or bank transfer, then it's free to them. So, and that typically eliminates about 60 to 80% of the cost of payment processing right there. So I know it can be it's a little bit of a controversial topic among law firms, and we've done a lot of research on how that relates to the rules of professional conduct. And actually, I'll drop a link in the chat here in a little bit for a guide that talks a little bit more about that. But the savings can be pretty significant there. So.
And Emery, you can also set up in Gravity Legal to only accept ACH, correct? So you can determine which payment method you accept. So you don't give you may not even give the option to the client, just pay through ACH.
Yep, you can choose which to enable on your account, and you can also, we have a lot of clients that will turn off credit and debit card by default, so it won't show up by default. But if a client really needs to pay by credit card, you can enable that on kind of a one-off basis to allow them to pay. So those are kind of the three main ways, or the three main kind of threads of the QuickBooks integration: syncing clients, dropping payment links on invoices, and having payments made on those links automatically applied to that invoice, which we didn't go over. And then just the account mapping for any payments that are not made through Matter365 they're not made through a QuickBooks invoice, but you still want to account for them in QuickBooks, you can set up that account mapping. So lastly, I'm going to test my knowledge of Matter365 here and dive in, but I've got some expert help here. So the last thing I'll talk about is how do you send a trust request directly out of Matter365. So say you have a new client, we'll go with test matter here, but we just created a new client and we want to take an initial retainer for that client. We're going to request a trust deposit. So we want to take $5,000 up front. And we'll have this be trust request. And we'll just use the default body, which is kind of boring, but we'll do it anyway. So
yeah, and you can see the email for the client that you've set up in Matter365 is automatically inputted into the trust request, and you can put in additional emails if necessary.
Yeah. So now if I go to my inbox here, here's the trust request that just came in. This would be your firm logo, and there's some branding options available. But if I come in here, I can now make that payment, and I'll actually go through it so we can see what does it look like when it goes all the way through the process.
Yeah, and reminder, this is the link. This is what your client's going to be doing once they get the request. So it's always good to see what it's like on the other side of the table.
Yep. We'll process that payment. Okay, so the payment's complete. So now if I go back into QuickBooks, get out of this invoice here, go to my chart of accounts.
You may have to take the undeposited out of the search bar.
Always mess that up. So remember when I said if you just have the Gravity Legal integration set up with QuickBooks, you don't actually, they all go into one account. And you still see the client, but you have to kind of separate them out later. The great thing about having Matter365 is that you can actually create these sub liability accounts here to better make it easier to account for these payments that are coming in and also to reconcile. So I think this was the one that we just took. Yep, we just took a payment here. So you can see it shows up as a $5,000 deposit here. And then also we go up to our bank account, our trust account, and I view that register. We'll see that transaction show up there as well. And then of course, we're syncing here with Matter365, which will pull in the latest from QuickBooks. So we can see that that trust balance right in Matter365. So
yeah, and again, time savings here. You make a simple trust request, the client pays it. It's the money's deposited into your bank account. The record's created in QuickBooks, and we can see here in the trust account balance, you see the total trust balance is reflected of that $5,000 that was just put in. Can't see it because it's a little bit cut off, but all of that is done by you simply clicking on the request a deposit. You don't have to go in to see what the record was, create the record in Matter365, or create the record in QuickBooks. It's all done automatically. So it really does take any of the guesswork and any of the manual bookkeeping requirements out of the equation completely.
Yep.
And it's also worth mentioning, if those who aren't familiar with Matter365, those sub-liability accounts that you saw in QuickBooks, those are created automatically by Matter365. So anytime you have a new matter and you open a trust account, we're going to create that trust account automatically, which has the matter name on it, and therefore you can track every penny of the money that you have in trust for your clients. Again, trying to take all the record keeping out of it, make it as simple as possible.
Great. Yeah. So those are the main things that we wanted to share today. So bundling them all together, and just to recap one more time, so the kind of the four main things you can do in reverse order. You can send trust requests out through Matters365 and have those go out to the client can pay electronically, and those payments are automatically updated in QuickBooks and in Matter365. Secondly, you can drop payment links on QuickBooks Invoices, so you can accept payments for your operating payments on invoices, and then you can also map payments made outside of invoices and outside of Matter365 directly to QuickBooks, so that those still get accounted for. And lastly, syncing all your clients between Gravity Legal and QuickBooks, which automatically also syncs them to Matter365. So, Rohit, anything you would add before we wrap up and go to questions?
No, I think you summed it up well. We've got them coming and going. Trust requests at the outset or throughout the course of a matter, as well as doing the work and issuing the invoices. All of that can be done seamlessly. And the key thing, again, I hate to go back to my Ron Popeil speech, the set it and forget it sort of situation, but you go into Gravity Legal, you set up the payment options once, payment links, trust accounts, and then that's it. You never have to go in and adjust it. And the same with Matter365. Like once you go in and you create a trust account, you don't have to go in and muck around and create all the records. They're being done automatically and created as the transactions are happening.
Perfect. So yeah, if you have any questions, you want to learn more about either Gravity Legal or Matter365, we're both semi-knowledgeable in QuickBooks, or at least enough to be dangerous. So I know we would love to help out, just provide insight, even if it's just some random question on payment processing for law firms. Happy to help. So you can go to gravitylegal.com and grab some time with us by booking a demo, even if you're not really interested in switching systems, but just want more information. Happy to chat, and I know you can do the same at Matter365, and Rohit and his team would be happy to help. So
yeah. So for any existing Matter365 customer, there's that free training session, the bottom left-hand side of our main screen. You can click on that, and if that for some reason that button's not there, if you want to do, you can contact me directly, Rohit at matter365.com, ROHIT, and we can set up a session where I can show you everything, take you through everything we did today, and all the setup. But again, like I said, 5 minutes, set it and forget it, and then everything works seamlessly after that.
Someday you'll get us on a paid plan, Rohit.
Yeah, someday.
All right, well, thank you, everyone. That's all we had in terms of kind of the program, and we'll pause just for a second to see if there's any questions.
There was one question that came through, and I think I answered it effectively, but it says, one of the things I've heard about Gravity Legal is that you can shift the cost of processing to your clients. Does this work with the QuickBooks and Matter365 integrations? I think I just saw the answer was yes, but wanted to confirm. So again, whether you can shift the cost processing to your clients, it's important to find out whether that is permitted in your jurisdiction. As far as I know, being a Canadian trained lawyer, I don't know that it is permitted up here. But I think somebody put into the chat window where there is a state-by-state guide about shifting fees. So for those for those people who are cost conscious and you don't necessarily want to give up 3 or 4% of your invoice in processing fees, find out whether you can charge it to your client. And then as Emery pointed out, you give them the options. Like if they want to pay by credit card, that's fine. They're paying that processing fee. And if they choose not to do it, they can do through ACH or through another method. But check the chat window for that link to see whether it's permitted.
Yep, and like I said, that pretty significant cost savings. We'll typically see when firms switch to that wholesale, they're eliminating about 60 to 80% of the fees that they're paying. Partially because clients are paying with less expensive methods, and partially because if they are paying with a credit card, the client's covering that fee. So,
Yeah,
And then-
and in my experience, it's rare that a client who's opting for their own convenience is going to object to paying a little bit more because they know it's more convenient for them. And if they're a good client, aren't going to object to you taking a haircut on their bill just for their convenience. So always start with a full and frank discussion with your clients, and you'll never end up, with any upset feelings.
And then also I'll drop into the chat. We've wrapped up a lot of kind of knowledge about payment processing specifically for law firms into this guide. So if you have questions about, we get a lot of questions about chargebacks, what happens, how can I prevent them, what is it? That guide covers that. How long does a client have to dispute a particular charge depending on their payment method, cryptocurrency information, a whole bunch of good stuff in there that's specific for law firms and some of the unique issues that they face when accepting electronic payments. So
there's another question just came in. Where can I find out more information about the Gravity Legal Matter365 integration?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, I actually don't have the URL top of mind right now, but I think it's.
I'll grab one here. I'm just pulling it up here, and I will drop it in the chat.
Okay.
So this page has a video that goes over the integration. And a little bit, a couple more bullets about the integration. So here's that.
And for those people in the audience who are existing Matter365 subscribers, if you click into our knowledge base, we put up some videos that went through some of the things that we went through today. So you can find out more about how to put it in, or like I said, just contact me directly and I'm happy to take you through it.
Yeah, no, the link I put in the chat is a little bit more high level, but yeah, Rohit and his team have a really good detailed outline of that. So I would highly recommend checking it out. Perfect. All right. Well, we're one minute from our scheduled time, but if there's no more questions, really appreciate everyone for coming, and we'll have this recorded and out to you again, so you can replay it as many times as you want,
and share it with your friends.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Very appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
bye.
bye.